To learn the speech of alchemy, an early form of chemistry in which people attempted to turn metals into gold. It helps to think back to a time when there was no science, no atomic number or weight, no periodic chart, no list of elements. To the alchemists, the universe was not made of leptons, bosons, gluons, and quarks. Instead, it was made of substances, and one substance, say, walnut oil, could be just as pure as another, say, silver, even though modern chemistry would say one is heterogeneous and the other homogeneous. Without knowledge of atomic structures, how developing computational thinking helps students to better understand the world around them. Many of us happily drive a car without understanding what goes on under the bonnet. So is it necessary for children to learn how to program computers? After all, some experts say coding is one of the human skills that will become obsolete as artificial intelligence grows. Nevertheless, governments believe coding is an essential skill. Since 2014, the principles of computer programming have featured on England's curriculum for children from the age of 5 or 6 when they start primary school. While not all children will become programmers, Mark Martin, a computing teacher at Sydenham High School, London, argues that they should learn to understand distance learning can be highly beneficial to a large variety of people, from young students wanting to expand their horizons to adults looking for more job security. With programs that allow learners of all ages to take courses for fun, personal advancement, and degrees, distance learning can meet the needs of a diverse population. Perhaps one of the most notable and often talked about advantages of distance learning is the flexibility. The majority of programs allow students to learn when and where it's convenient for them. For those who are struggling to balance their distance learning goals with working a full-time job and taking care of a family, this kind of flexibility can allow many people to pursue education who would not otherwise be able to do so. Since there are no on-campus courses to attend, students can learn from their own homes, at work, on their lunch breaks, and from virtually anywhere with internet access. For some, timing is important for revision. Have you noticed that during the school day, you get times when you just don't care any longer? I don't mean the lessons you don't like, but the ones you usually find okay, but on some occasions, you just can't be bothered with it. You may have other things on your mind, be tired, restless, or looking forward to what comes next. Whatever the reason, that particular lesson doesn't get 100% effort from you. The same is true of revision. Your mental and physical attitude are important. If you try to revise when you are tired or totally occupied with something else, your revision will be inefficient and just about worthless. If you approach it feeling fresh, alert, and happy, it will be so much easier and you will learn more, faster. However, if you make no plans and just slip in a little bit of revision when you feel
The desire to build big is nothing new. Big buildings have been used to show off power and wealth, to honor leaders or religious beliefs, to stretch the limits of what's possible. And even a simple competition among owners, families, architects, and builders. Some of the most dramatic buildings of the past include the pyramids in Egypt, the skinny towers stretching towards the sky in Italian hill towns, and the Gothic cathedrals of France. While these types of buildings may look very different from each other, they all have one thing in common. They were built with masonry or stone walls supporting most of the weight, so-called load-bearing walls, including that of the floors, the people, and everything the rooms contained. Because of this, the height of these buildings was limited by how massive and heavy they had to be at the base. Event management is particularly challenging from an operational viewpoint. In many cases, events are staged on sites where everything has been set up over a 24-hour period, with all elements carefully synchronized. In contrast, many events are years in the planning. Large convention bids are often won 5 years before the event is held. For the very competitive bidding process, budgets need to be developed and prices quoted, requiring a good understanding of market, economic and political trends, as well as consumer choices. This long-term view is the basis of strategic management, which is covered in Part 1 and focuses on the event concept, feasibility of the event, legal compliance, and financial management. Marketing is a critical success factor and other important topic of this first section. Many events, sporting, cultural, and arts, involving long-term sponsorship arrangements with key industry players. Relationship building is particularly challenging since there are so many stakeholders involved in events, including government agencies at many levels. Part 1 will look at all these aspects, including strategic risk, before moving on to the second part where operational planning and implementation will be covered in detail. To understand how a coffee nap might work, we need to look at how the body processes caffeine. When you drink a coffee, the caffeine stays in the stomach for a while before moving to the small intestine. It is from here that caffeine is absorbed and distributed throughout the body. This process, from drinking to absorption, takes 45 minutes. Although caffeine is broken down in the liver, half of it remains in the blood for 4 to 5 hours after drinking a moderate amount, equivalent to 2 large cups of brewed coffee. It takes more time to eliminate greater amounts of caffeine from the body. A crime is generally a deliberate act that results in harm, physical or otherwise, toward one or more people in a manner prohibited by law. The determination of which acts are to be considered criminal has varied historically, and continues to do so among cultures and nations. When a crime is committed, a process of discovery, trial by judge or jury, conviction, and punishment occurs. Just as what is considered criminal varies between jurisdictions, so does the punishment, but elements of restitution and deterrence are common.